So basically, if you're looking to save costs when you just relocated, the one of the areas you should really consider is transportation. Yet, in as much as you're gonna walk, maybe if a distance isn't too far, you should consider walking. That's one. But most importantly, the buses is very important, because I hear some people who've been here for a year more and they still say they just got to know the bus routes, a shorter bus route, a cheaper bus route, an easy way to walk and all that. So in as much as it takes time to get used to, but there are basic things which we have to know, and that's what I want to explain briefly. For instance, we'll be looking at the different buses which most times are going to different routes, especially the yellow buses. Then you'll be looking at the bus stop you are standing in. Then you also have to consider if there's any discount that apply to you, maybe as a student or whatever category you may fall into. Then finally you'll be looking at what ticket to buy. You can have the day rider, you can have the return ticket, we have the single, and you can also buy a mobile ticket online for a period of time. So these are the areas you need to consider, and you will save a lot of money. For instance, a day rider on a mall bus is £3, but each trip you take, you'll be spending about £2 for each trip. So if for instance you're going to make a, let me say, trip for that day, 6 or 7 trips, so you see there's no wisdom in paying £2 per trip and then spending about £12, whereas you can buy a £3 ticket and it carries it for the whole trip. But the trick there is there are certain places the mall buses may not cover, so you need to check the areas you are going to find out, okay, this is within the mall bus section or is not. How many are there? You have to consider that, because even timing also is important, because there's certain time that at this specific time at this bus stop these buses don't operate. This is all you need to consider, and Google Map to a great extent is going to help you. For instance, yesterday was really crazy for me. I had a shift from 2 to 10, and funny enough, I was supposed to enter a Castle 2 bus, but I entered a Bearwood 2 bus, but I entered a Castle 2 bus. They are all the 2 bus, but the difference is the Bearwood goes further, but the one for the Castle Point doesn't go further. So then I end up spending £7.50 for a trip of £2.90. It's crazy, because I get to Castle Point, I buy a single, I get to Castle Point, I pay 1.8. Then from Castle Point, I have like 40 minutes to cover the trip. I have to enter a second bus, which is on the Bearwood bus I've just taken from the scratch, and then I have to pay a £1.70. As if that is not enough. In the evening from 9:50, those buses do not operate, so I can't buy a return. So I now have to take a mall bus now, which is going to be 2 rides. So it's either I buy a day ride for £3, or I pay for the first stop £1.8 and then pay for the second stop £1.7. Let me just buy a day ride. So at the end of the day, I spend £1.50 for a trip. I conveniently spend £2.90. So that's the trick. So in a day, I'm losing like almost £4, and that's a lot of money. So that's the trick. You need to know the bus timing, the bus stop to stay, time to move, time not to move. This is all the trick. If you're able to put all this in place, you'll be saving a lot of money. And if, for instance, you're saving £4 daily on transportation, you know what that is. You'll be looking at £40, 10 days, and that's going to go a long way. I mean, it can comfortably take care of your groceries for the period. So knowing the buses to use, the bus fare, the bus timing, it's key. Is key. I mean, is the most important factor. Like basically the most important factor you need to consider when you're looking at saving costs, saving costs. You need to consider the bus fare, the buses to use. You can save a lot. You can buy an online ticket for £12 and it's gonna carry you for a whole week. Then you keep buying a day ride every day, £3, but then you have to check how often you go out, because if you buy £12 for the week and then you just go out 2 or once a day, then you see there's no point. So this is what you have to consider. So you have to sit down, calculate, check your timing, check your schedule, be sure of your bus stops, be sure of your bus timing, be sure of which bus to go with, where it's stopping, the timing and everything. If you put all this in check, you'll be saving a lot. You'll be saving a lot. And that will take us to the next point, key point we need to consider if we want to save costs. When we've relocated to the United Kingdom, we'll be looking at groceries, and that is a very big aspect. A very big aspect. You need to be looking at groceries. But before then, I'm gonna tell you about the four big stores, in the United Kingdom that definitely you have to consider if you are looking at where to shop for your groceries. In terms of cost, in terms of availability, the four big shops you should consider. Why? We'll talk about substitute and lots of things. Let's get there first. So here is the soap section. That's the tissue, laundry, candles, everything G, everything Omo. You need to buy Omo. Everything bread.